Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. Today's video, I'm going to talk about how I make running videos. First, I'm going to go through some of the types of videos I make. Then I'm going to talk about the process in detail. And finally, I'm going to talk about what I learned along the way. I'm making this video for several reasons. First is I teach a class on YouTube, and I thought I better explain how I make videos as part of that class. Then I thought, well, maybe some of the regular viewers might like to see how and why I make videos. And then I thought to myself, by doing that, I might rethink some of the processes myself. Okay, disclaimer time. Let's get our excuses in early. I'm not an expert in anything in filming, in running, or in criticizing or criticism. I specialize in not specializing, but I'm pretty good at learning as I go along. And I've been making videos, but there's always room for improvement. So I'm happy for any of you to say how you think things get improved. There will be chapter markers down below, so if there's a particular piece you wanted to find out about, and obviously you can pop questions into the comments and I'll happily answer them. Okay, I'm not the Pope. You can probably tell by the lack of the funny hat. So I'm not infallible. I don't have a monopoly on good ideas. So as I've said, happily I'll listen to any suggestions you have. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the process of making videos. In another video, I'll talk about the equipment I use. And then in another video, I'll talk about the editing. And along the way, if there's something in particular you want to find out about, again, pop some in the comments. Effectively, I'm trying to teach students about workflow and being efficient. And so rather than make one video for the students and one for my regular audience, I thought I'd try and just make one video. People can always turn off. And I thought I'd try and get the balance for everybody. The students are going to see it live on YouTube Premiere, and then it'll go up regularly on my regular channel. And again, questions are welcome. So I make videos about running on YouTube, mostly about shoes, otherwise known as shoe tubing. I've been doing it for a couple of years. I find that people find your videos typically because they're searching for information on a piece of equipment. YouTube's a big search engine, and they put in a particular type of shoe. Up comes your video. They might subscribe, and they hang around, and then they see the other kind of videos that I like to make, running with my friend Con when he's on a bicycle or racing him, or my nephew, the Jack 2.0, or hopefully with some other people during the year. And I try and make some other videos, not just about shoe reviews. And so they're kind of the long videos, and they take about 2 days to film. I also do some shorter vlogging videos. I made one in Chicago for the Chicago Marathon, filmed just with my iPhone and limited equipment I brought with me. Then I made one in Buckeye, Arizona, and then I went to Monument Valley, and I made this video where I'm standing on my hotel balcony, and everyone said to me, you know, that looked like green screen. Are you sure that wasn't green screen? And I kept saying, no, it wasn't green screen. I'll show a clip of it here. Hey there, welcome to Old Man Runner. Today's video, I'm going to review the Buckeye Marathon 2022. And it's not green screen, I'm actually there. But because it was filmed with the iPhone, just straight, I didn't do anything with the footage other than just play it in Premiere Pro. But I thought, well, you know, I could make these a lot quicker and use a lot less equipment than I currently use for this kind of video. But anyway, and then I was asked, would I do some vlogging about my upcoming marathon in Zurich? So I decided to do that, and then I found I set up the stuff really quickly. I just use a monopod iPhone and microphone. I can go off topic. I have a sort of a script that I make up as I go along. Usually when I'm out running, I think of something to say. I try and do them in one take. It doesn't always work. But usually I can get them wrapped up within 3 hours as opposed to the 2 days it takes me to do a shoe review. But today I'm going to show you how I make a shoe review video. The first thing, which is harder than it looks, is which shoe. I have 34 pairs at the moment of shoes lying around, running shoes, that thankfully a lot of them are worn out. And but I'm always trying to, but I have enough shoes. But if I'm doing a shoe review, I'm always trying to find one that solves a problem for me or a viewer, and that I find interesting. And so, for instance, I'm about to make a video about this. This is the Adidas Takumi Sen 8, recommended by Troy, and it's a shoe I'm really, really interested in. It arrived about 2 hours ago, and I can't wait to go running in this. It's a 5 to 10 millimeter carbon fiber shoe, and I'm trying to compare it with this Nike's Alpha Fly. What I'm trying to see in the video is over a short distance, a kilometer, will this actually be faster than the marathon shoe? And then I'm going to try and speculate whether I could actually run a full marathon this, whether it would wear out. So they're the kinds of things that I'm interested in a shoe. So usually the shoe arrives, and I got to figure out how I'm going to make the video. So stage 2 is I unbox a shoe. They don't make for very exciting videos, unboxing shoe videos, but the most important thing is that I weigh the shoe. So I weigh the shoe before I wear it. I weigh it on this thing called a drop scale. The drop scale is actually a whole menu system about ingredients for cooking. I don't use it for any of that. I stick a little plastic disc on it. It uses your iPhone, it connects via Bluetooth. It uses the iPhone as a screen, and then I weigh my shoes. I weigh a left shoe and a right shoe because the manufacturers don't always give you accurate information about the weight of shoes. And so I want to weigh the shoe before I run in it, and the left may vary from the right. Not by much, but I weigh them that way anyway. And then I'll do all that before I even consider running in them. The next stage involves filming them on a turntable. I got a turntable, and I used Illustrator to make a little sort of template that I cut out of a mirror that I had left over from something I did for St. Patrick's Festival a few years ago. I say I cut, and I didn't do any of this. I mean, I relied on Liam for help in the workshop, who's my running buddy. Liam is brilliant at all that sort of stuff, and I can kind of design things and figure stuff out, but when it comes to technical making stuff, I'm a little bit lost. So I relied on Liam for help. But either way, got this rotating thing. It's stuck onto a Lazy Susan that I got cheaply on Amazon. And so it goes round and round and round, and I film it. The idea being that I film the shoe in its entirety. I'll show some clips of it rolling around here. And so that people can see the shoe from every angle. So I stick it on its side at one point in time. And then what I do is I figure people can speed up and slow down or stop to get a closer look at some aspect of the shoe that they might be interested in. The next thing is to make a running video. So within my videos, there's a talking headpiece, this, and then there's a bit of the turntable, but the bit that I enjoy the most is making a running video, usually about 2.5 minutes long. So I get the shoe and I try and figure out the location. I'll show some of them here. I'll just intersperse some clips, but effectively if I take some of the ones, this is the Alpha Fly, and so because this is a super fast shoe from Nike, not great on the twisty bits, I wanted to run in a straight line at speed. So I picked a location, the Wooden Bridge here in Dublin, Clontarf, if you've seen the video, and I run in a straight line, and I pick, so I vault over the camera lots of times and move on and do various things. But essentially that's what I'm trying to do. I've got the video based on the form factor of the shoe. With this shoe, the Cloud Boom Echo from On Running, I had seen the War Memorial in Dublin, and I wanted to make a video there. And I wanted to make a video there for a couple of weeks, and then I got this shoe. Now, the link is tenuous in one sense, but important in another. Switzerland is a neutral country. Ireland was a neutral country. But many people, including my mother's uncle, lost their lives in World War II. And so I wanted to make a video and go out there. And so I got the shoe and I went there. Yep, tenuous, but it forms a basis to what to do. This is much more direct and probably the most obvious. This is the Atreyu, the artist. Atreyu are a small running company in Austin, Texas. And I really liked this shoe and I like what they're doing. So I took it to the Irish Museum of Modern Art. And that influenced, you'll see it here, that influenced what I would do. I decided I'd run through the arches, and then I decided I'd lay arches over another, and etc., etc., etc. What I try to do is not run in the shoe in the same place over and over again, and try and make a mini film about that. And that's, the location often influences the film. I cut I mean, I've got a little bit better at it, but I cut, or try to cut, the scenes to the music. And so I typically, I'm looking for a track about 2.5 minutes long. I get them all off the YouTube audio library on YouTube, and get the royalty-free versions. Some of them you have to do various attributes. So I always put the name of who it's by and the title in the descriptions. But I look for tracks about 2.5 minutes, and I'm always listening. I mean, I'd have about 10 upstairs that I'm listening to try and pick something out that I think matches a particular shoe. In the case of this shoe, because of where I was filming it, I wanted, and even though this is an ultra fast shoe, but I wanted to kind of show a certain movement in the shoe, and I picked this piece of music that I thought went with the location and the mood. And then the location has a lot of steps. It's designed by Sir Edwin Lutyens, and I wanted to, I could hear this, and then I thought it reminded me of running up the steps. So before I went, I knew how I might edit it, and I did a lot of film about going up the steps, and that was one that I really enjoyed making. Before I go out, I make a plan. I do some sketches in my notebooks. This ones, I've been putting dates on them, but this is from 1994 to 95, and this is from 2022, and I have all of the notebooks in between. There's all sorts of stuff in there. I can't go through them all because they contain student records and all sorts of financial details, usual stuff you have in notebooks. But by way of example, in January of 2022, this year, I made a tiny piece related to Forrest Gump. But I planned it since October of 2021, so that could give you an idea of how long these things are in planning. And then I stuck it at the end of a video, so most people haven't probably never noticed it, but I really liked it. I had a huge ton of fun making that. I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now. You have to, the more time you spend filming, the more time you spend editing, the more equipment you've got to bring. And sometimes you bring a lot of equipment. And I made a video that technically was one of the ones I enjoyed the most, which was about running with reflective gear. And so I brought two lights down to the beach down near me at, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning in winter. It was freezing. And I set the lights up like car headlights, and it was going to run away. And so you try and see when the reflectivity would die out. And to do that, I needed to make sure in advance that I knew exactly where I was going to run, so that I had an easy route, and you'll see it in the notebook, so that I didn't waste any time. And that's a huge aspect of what you're doing. I film a lot of stuff on the beach, usually non-shoe related videos, usually, not always. And there I have to be really, it's cold, it's windy, and but it's away from people, and that's one of the advantages. I made one there's a little sketch from a notebook about making this particular type of video, which I did for the last time I did this YouTube module. And then another day I made, I love these shoes. I mean, obviously I wanted to bring them to the zoo. These are the Craft TTM Ultra Craft Tailored Motion Ultra Carbon shoes. And I sort of wanted to film those, but they made me look at black and white, and it was raining. Usually I don't film much in rain, but it forced me down a particular path. And that's one of the things. You'll see a little sketch here. I just wanted to make a sort of hop through something, and then that made it through to the video where I saw something, and I loved all the lines in the roadway that matched the shoe. So there's kind of the music, the location of the shoe are going on to try and influence me making a video. The next stage is filming it. So I try to film early, really early, sometimes late, but essentially try and avoid people. It helps with continuity. It just helps with the whole ease of it. I've been moved on numerous times by security guards for all sorts of strange reasons. I've had passers-by stay stuffed. I'm gonna ram that GoPro stick, and where the sun don't shine. You're thinking, what on earth? But anyway, I go out early in the morning. That's usually what I try and do. I try and bring just the amount of equipment I need to take the shots. I don't bring my big camera, my Canon R5. I bring a lot of GoPros, so I might bring 3 or 4 of these, and I might have them set up in particular ways depending on what I'm filming. it's handy to have a few things because of redundancy. Something goes wrong with a SD card, something goes wrong in whatever. It's handy to have a few different ones. It's also really handy where, so a lot of shots I'm running by the camera. It's an awful lot easier if you have two cameras where one's looking that way, one's looking that way, and as you run by, you've got both, and it's very simple in editing. So you're trying to do that. You're trying to minimize the amount of footage you bring, because the more footage, the more editing, the more storage, the more time. But also, if you've too little, then you've just got nothing to make. So you try and work out the shots in advance. Try and do some planning to have it well done in advance. Depending on where you're going, if I'm going somewhere nearby, then I can afford to go back and redo the shoot. If I'm going to Buckeye, Arizona, I can't. So what I need to do there is make sure I've got enough footage so that when I come back to Dublin to do the editing, it's all in the can. I edit all the films on the Adobe Creative Cloud on Adobe Premiere Pro. The first thing I do, and I make them all in segments, so there could be 3 or 4 videos going on at any one time. But what I'm doing is snatching them between evenings and around stuff, and it's pretty much my hobby. So I spend pretty much most of the week at it when I'm not working, and sometimes, as in the case of this video, at the same time. But I make the turntable video first so that the shoes aren't covered in dust or what used to be the case, dog hair, that they're just pristine as much as you can. There's going to be dust and stuff. And then I make the running video, and then the turntable video doesn't take long, but half an hour to set up the equipment, about another half an hour to, I pretty much know what I'm doing. The running video could take 2 or 3 hours, depending on what you're doing, depending on how it goes. It could take about that. I usually try to do those on a Saturday morning, and then I come back, and they take about 5 hours to edit. To get them to the state that I try and release them in the videos, they take me about 5 hours. Sometimes longer, very occasionally shorter. A huge amount depends on the music and how the editing is going. A huge amount depends on that. Sometimes I'll come back and I'll look at all the footage. So I look at all the footage first, and then I chop off all the bits that definitely aren't worth using. And sometimes with the GoPro, you're often filming upside down. It's looking at your foot off a stick. So you invert all the footage, you look at all of that. And then you start to try and edit. And usually I try to get a theme going. And I try and build, even sometimes logically on a journey, even though I know very few people who are watching my videos have been to the places I make them, but I try to make them have a linear structure so I'm not jumping from A to B. There's some form of continuity, but I do that. And then sometimes you get stuff that comes back, like I was out running in these Bondi X Hoka shoe, and I had planned a whole video around a particular area, but the light didn't work or something, and I sort of went to another area, and it was beautiful, and it just stopped that. And then I was just looking at the footage, and sort of me running by raining, and there's a bird that flies down slowly. I'll show a clip of it here, and that I really enjoyed. It was a nice, simple effect. I try not to overcomplicate the effects. I have done it. The video I made of this shoe, the effects, I just played around with them. But most of the time, I'm going for really simple effects, ones that you shouldn't really notice. So I've got the running video and I've got the turntable video. I then want to write a script. The script is really important. It helps sort of crystallize what you want to say. You don't want to miss stuff. I mean, sometimes you probably do, but you're trying to get it into some sort of order. I have a template for my shoe scripts, so I know what I'm going to do when. It just helps, makes it a lot easier to make the video. But the script is long, and there's all sorts of stuff in it, and it's just, I write that. I write that in around in the evenings, things like that. Then I transfer the script to bullet points on an auto cue, which I run off my iPhone, which is over there, or my other iPhone, old iPhone. And I use that as a sort of auto cue. I'm still looking to get a better solution, but anyway. So I do that, and the bullet points are really handy, and they remind me of things that I want to say. And sometimes I will, if there's specifications that I need to read, you'll see when I do the turntable of the shoes, sometimes I'm reading specifications, and then I speed up and slow down the shoe to match the length of that, and I just literally read that in front of this so that it's got the same level of sound, etc., etc., etc. So that's kind of how I do that bit. The piece of camera is fairly straightforward. It takes a long time to set up the equipment. There's a light there. I'll do another video of all the setting up of that. It takes about twice as long as to record as it does what will actually go out. So if it's a 15-minute video, it'll probably take 30 minutes. I don't have a particular time limit in mind. I just go until it's sort of done, hopefully making meaningful points along the way. I say the same start and stop piece. Largely that helps set me and get me ready in terms of a sort of automatic timing kind of system. The next stage, the second edit, is relatively simple. It takes a couple of hours, put it all together, and then it's ready to be exported. It's relatively simple to export. It just takes a lot of processing time. Usually about 3 times the length or 4 times the length of the video. It depends on your computer and your processor. So you've now got a video. I usually take a rough cut of looking through to see that it sort of starts and ends. Then I upload it to YouTube. That's relatively straightforward. The upload time takes about the same time as your video. It's going to vary depending on your internet connection. But it takes a while for YouTube to process to, it goes up in standard definition first, then it goes to high definition, and then as I record in 4K, that can take a couple of days to transfer to 4K. So usually I try and get the videos up early. That's not always possible. At the very least, I want to go to high definition, which takes a couple of hours after it's uploaded. And then you think you're done, but you're not. You have to do the thumbnail, which I do in Photoshop and Illustrator, and then you've got to do some descriptions. The thumbnail usually comes out of the video. I'm always thinking about thumbnails. You're never certain which are good ones, which are bad ones. Then a lot of time and effort goes into the descriptions. Yeah, a lot of time goes in there. Editing anything basically that I wear or I show, I try and give some sort of links to. I like putting in chapter markers, which indicates the sections within the video. And the last thing I pretty much do is I watch the video and then I check when the channel markers and put them in. It's very handy because you see the final video and mistakes happen. I mean, last week I was uploading it 3 times. There was something wrong the first time, and then there was something wrong. I'd forgotten the name of the shoe. That was what I got the name of the shoe wrong, and I noticed that. And then just kind of crazy, but I did that. And then I noticed there was a flickering as I put the text over the video to explain it was a different shoe, and it flickered. And anyway, it took 3 goes. So that's the way it goes sometimes. The vlogging videos only take me about 3 hours. So the other ones take about 2 days. This one will take not quite as long, hopefully, because it's due out in a few hours. But anyway, the vlogging ones, it's usually one idea. I try and do it in one take, sometimes a couple. I try and think of what I'm doing out running. That's usually where I never run without a plan about what I'm going to think about or talk about to Liam. I always have some sort of idea. I find it makes the running go great if I say to myself, well, I'm going to think about this, and off I go, and then it soon rolls along very happily. I can edit the vlogging videos on the laptop watching the TV. For these kinds of videos, I can't. I use the main computer and a couple of screens. So the vlogging, it still takes about 3 hours to do. So what does go wrong? Lots of stuff. This is the second time I made this video because the first one, the sound didn't record for some reason. The video froze on this for some reason a while ago. Hopefully it'll all go through. I'll have to double check that. You run out of batteries, you forget to turn on the lights, you forget to turn on the sound recorder. There's cars going by, there's noise. You go out in the middle of the beach and you've forgotten to bring a camera, or you've forgotten to bring a memory card, or it's so cold you can't. Most of the cameras are autofocus, but so cold you can't actually operate the stuff, and there's all sorts of things go wrong. It's part of the joys of making videos. So what have I learned? Well, loads the hard way. I'm still continuing to learn. For those of you who are writing dissertations sometime soon, I asked a dissertation supervisor about 10 years ago when I was writing one, what was the key? And he said it was about finding your voice. And it took me a while to get my head around what he meant. And it's the same with YouTube videos. You kind of find your voice, and you find a way of doing things and a tone and all that sort of stuff. So you try and find that. And that might vary. So my tone or what I might be doing in these videos might be different to the vlogging videos, but whatever, you find that. The next thing is you need to find an audience. So you put stuff out there and you don't know who's going to watch it. And then people do, and then you hope that they enjoy it. I mean, that's all that really matters, is that they enjoy it. So most people would find it by looking at a shoe video, but then they might say, oh, well, we'll see what he's talking about this. And then you might suddenly find yourself going completely off on a completely separate tangent, as I did last Sunday. And yet you've no idea how anyone will react, but it's fantastic. People have been absolutely fantastic. So you know, you just put the stuff out there and you just try and get better at it each time, small incremental steps. I back up everything. I have 7.76 terabytes on Dropbox. Back up everything. That's one of the lessons you learn. And then other small things. I learned a long time from, I had a great boss when I was in London as a young architect, Antoinette Raboul. She's fantastic. She always said to use notebooks. It was probably the best bit of advice I ever got. I still do a color in. I've got all sorts of stuff in them. I know I use a lot of digital media, the 7.76 terabytes, but there's nothing to beat notebooks, and you'll see in a few extracts here. My second employer ever, also in London, was Peter McCarr, and Peter said to me, Barry, the man who never made a mistake, he never made anything. And it's so true. The great thing about YouTube is you will make mistakes, but it's got to go up. It doesn't have to go up, but it nearly always goes up. So you stick it up, you know it's riddled with mistakes, or you see mistakes, and then you just try and incrementally make them better. And that's the beauty of YouTube. I'm not afraid to fail at stuff. I don't mind failing publicly at stuff. That's not a bother. I've done it many times. That's not remotely a bother. You're just trying to get better at something. The thing about YouTube and say this video is I always see it as practice for the next video. My great baseball coach Jim Reach used to say, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And you never really get to perfect, but you can do the perfect practice. So that's what I hope to do. Practice perfectly and always have a plan B. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it'd be great if you hit the like button. There'll be lots of stuff in the descriptions below. And as always, I'll happily answer any questions you pop into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there and some later videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.